Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page podcast. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. I'm coming to you from the south coast of England from my quiet crafting space, which is the craft room. I'm sitting here at my desk. This is my happy place. Place where I can come, retreat, shut the door, shut the world out, and just breathe and relax. My shoulders relax, my breathing slows. I'm sitting in my happy place and I am able to just think thoughts through from beginning to end and make decisions of what I would like to do for me. So we've talked in previous podcasts about the importance of finding a space to do that, to get yourself a desk, get yourself an area, a tray, a room, or a time slot of when you can just be yourself. And if you've managed to achieve some of that, what next? What else do you need? What things are you going to need to create? You're going to need some glue, good paper glue and a fabric glue. You'll probably need a good pair of scissors and a good pair of fabric scissors. But even to get started, you don't need that. You can just use your hands and tear paper and glue it down. So really all you're going to need is some glue to get going. And then the other things can come into it at a later date. The next thing you're going to want, when you've found a piece of paper that you're happy with, you might want a second piece of paper for a contrast. So if you've picked up one piece of paper, look for another and then decide whether you like either one of those pieces of paper. And if you don't, go and have another hunt around until you find some other pieces of paper that make you feel happy and or are interesting. Maybe the paper has an interesting texture. Maybe it's packaging that's come through the post. Perhaps you've got brown paper bag which has got a nice crinkle to it, and then you've also got a sheet of white paper that is from the photocopier or the printer. Perhaps you've got writing paper which is nice. Maybe you've got an old notepad with some lines in it. Maybe you've got an old address book that you no longer use because you've put all your addresses in a digital form on your phone. Maybe you've got some receipt paper, that thin paper from a till receipt. Maybe you've got tickets and then cards, junk mail. You're going to have letters through the door. Maybe they've got a window on them. Maybe the inside of the letter's got some nice patterning on it, some blue crisscross or swirls. Maybe you can find newspaper, magazine paper, and then the more you start looking, the more you will find the paper that is in your home. Everyday things that you don't sort of look at. Kitchen towel is a paper, toilet roll is a paper. You've got tissue paper that may be in your shoe boxes, and have a look for cardboard, and then go and look at packaging in the pantry cupboards. See what cracker boxes, what cereal boxes, so stiffer card and then thin papers, and have a look and see what there is, what's around in your home. So we've all got that's stuff that we've got. We might not have a glue, but we can get a glue. So if you haven't got a glue stick, a nice stick glue for paper, then that's a good idea. But you might also have some adhesive in a cupboard somewhere that you use for that one-time project where you needed to glue a piece of wood together. So the thing maybe not to recommend is a super glue, something that you would bond a broken piece of crockery together again. You don't want that. That's too strong. We don't want people gluing themselves to their papery crafts and then having to go to some sort of accident and emergency situation where you've gone and glued yourself to your pair of scissors. That would not be fun. So not that glue, but the glue that you would give to a child, or a glue that is deemed strong enough to bond paper together. So a Mod Podge or a PVA glue. Those are wet school glues. They're fine. And yes, that's all you really need is a glue and some papers. So once you've got those papers in front of you, have a look. Maybe you've got newspapers, maybe you've got book page, an old book, a book that's been sat on the shelf so long that the glue has deteriorated and the pages are starting to fall out. I've got one here that had got sun damage because it had been left on a windowsill for a yonks, and therefore it had been baked in the sun and the glue had dried on the spine and the pages were falling out. So we've lost chapter 3 and it can't really be read, but the pages in there are totally fine. And what's more, they have aged with a nice caramel colour and they are of nice tones, creamy tones, and those are interesting because of the aging effect on them. It's also quite a fun thing to do to age up papers where they are modern. And often we find that we've got a lot of papers that are from the past that aren't so modern. They are actually now vintage, even though we don't think they are because they're probably from 15 years ago, or things that you think, oh, I remember that, blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing you realise, oh gosh, no, that was 20 years ago. And that's still in the drawer, and I haven't looked at it, and it's been taking up that drawer space for 20 years. That, we need to maybe dig some of this stuff out when we're decluttering. So yeah, maybe go through a drawer and then start looking at what could go in a journal and be useful, not in its current form. What could I do to it to change it, to make it more interesting, to fit in with my thoughts and feelings of where I am today? And that's the starting point for a junk journal. Scraps from our life. So life scraps that you have. Now, if you're on this podcast, if you're listening, you are possibly a creative person trying to understand what junk journaling is and what it could mean to you, and do you want to get involved? Well, the chances are you're already doing it. The chances are you already have a lot of stuff squirreled away. Now, whether that's life stuff or craft stuff, if you've got a drawer that's got crafty bits in it, some old paint and paint brushes and things that are relating to projects that you once enjoyed, then you're a junk journaler in there somewhere. There's a junk journaler in us all. Anyone who hoards scraps, not the minimalist people, unless you've got one of those cupboards where you stuff everything in and keep it all hidden. If you can't bear things, clutter, actually even the decluttering brigade will be able to find value here, because we are actually sorting out life stuff in an organised way of sorts. You could journal any way you like. So if you want to organise the family photos into a book and keep it on a shelf, and that's much better, and you can cover that book in a colour that fits with your decor, yeah, great, that's fine. That's a form of junk journaling, because it was junk from your life that you put in a book and you've repurposed it and placed it somewhere for the joy and well-being of yourself and your family. So yes, that passes that test. Like me, I tend to have a lot of stuff all around me at any one given time, and in a stark, white, bright, clean, empty space, I am momentarily filled with glee and pleasure and delight at the freeing energy that space offers. And then if I have to live in it for more than a couple of days, I start feeling, I don't know, bored's not the right word, but it's not homely. Where are the things? I need the things. So when we moved to our house, we had a couple of rooms like that didn't have any built-in storage. And the people before us must have had free free moving furniture with things that they put in, and they took it with them. So there was nowhere to put anything, and we had a lot of stuffed boxes and things all on the floor. And I didn't mind that. I actually, although it was cluttered and chaotic, I didn't mind it because the room felt full. So I do like things. I like to feel the homely, snuggled envelope of stuff around me in an organised way. I like to see my things. I like to know where they are. It bothers me when I don't know where they are. I see they cease to exist if I can't see them. So I'm quite a visual person, and if I want to craft with anything, it's no point putting it in a cupboard, labelled in a box, and shutting a door on it. That's gone as far as I'm concerned. I will then go out and buy more. If I can't find the tape that I need because it has been catalogued, labelled, put away in a drawer, and then shut in a box under something, that's gone. It's no longer there. I would not have the slightest clue where to look for it. Even if I'd written it down in a book, giving myself instructions on where to go and look for it, that is 3 steps too far for me, and I would not do it. So there lies a slight problem. And I know I'm not alone, so I don't mind sharing that because I've seen it all over YouTube. All these visual crafting people that, no, if I can't see it, it's gone, it won't get used, and therefore I will go through it at some point in the future and I will find the tape, and of course it will have perished and gone funny and no longer operates as the sticky, useful tape that it once was, and then I'll have to repurpose it into something else, which is fine because that's what we're all learning to do here. So the junk journaling supplies are often in abundance if you're a normal, everyday person with life clutter. So your junk journaling supplies is more often than not your clutter. And if it's not your clutter, then it's your mother's clutter, your father's, your grandparents, your aunt, your uncle, sister, brother. We've all got stuff. Stuff is coming at us all the time. And it's the packaging off of the things that we buy, things that we need and we use. The packaging, there you go. You can turn that into a booklet. You can decorate it. And then there's also the abundance of stuff, and then there's too much stuff. And too much stuff can be overwhelming and therefore offer us a creative mind fog, which we can't then create in because we have too much stuff. So there's a balance, a fine balance, a balance where we have to let things go, be discerning, only craft with the things that bring us happiness and joy, or the things that we look at and go, oh, I could make something with that. Oh, and this. Oh, look at that napkin. That's pretty. I've got the glue. I'm going to stick the pretty napkin down on this card, this old greeting card that is doing nothing. I was going to throw it away, but it felt wasteful because it was pretty and it was from Auntie Diane, and I don't want to lose that. But what if I fold that up? Then I can just decorate that and repurpose that card, and I'm not throwing it away, because greeting cards are very expensive now. They're a lot, aren't they? My goodness, we don't really want to throw them away, but if we hang on to everything, we're going to drown. We're going to drown in the stuff. So, yeah, we don't need to necessarily move to a bigger space. We just need to manage what we've got. And part of junk journaling is supposed to do that, but if anybody's ever sat down and had a little go at trying to clear up a whole load of scraps and make fun things, you'll find that scrap tray just doesn't get any smaller some days. So don't accept all of the stuff into the craft room. Just choose the good bits and then be willing to let it go as well. Otherwise, you will find yourself swamped. Yeah, there's a lot of supplies. So then the fun supplies that you might want is the decorative things. Now, for that, you can go and have a look at the craft stores and the thrift stores, but have a look in the sale. What's being thrown away? What's being given away? What's reduced? What is junk? What is going spare? What is no longer needed in society and it's being tossed away? What can you pick out of your own rubbish before it goes outside? Can you find that that is going to be useful. And then on top of that, you might want some stickers and stamps and some decorative tape. You may like paints or glitter or some embellishments, some sticky gems or old vintage buttons. But really we're crafting with what we have as junk journalists. So it's looking at what is around you. Old bits of fabric, clothing that no longer fit, or especially clothing that can't even go to somebody else because you've gone and got a stain down it, or you have torn it. And so there's good fabric, which was totally fine until you went and sloshed bleach all up yourself by mistake, and now it's got a great big patch and it's right on the front and you can't wear it anymore. Those sort of things where you just need to then decide, well, I can't give that to anyone now, and that cotton was really good, there was nothing wrong with it, so therefore you could launder it and cut that up and then that be sewn into the cover of a journal. And this is where it starts. It starts by looking at the things and not wanting to be wasteful. Perhaps you've been taught that growing up. Don't waste things. Don't throw things away, especially from the wartime era of parents where they had to make do and mend. And if you've had that mantra growing up, then you will definitely feel that you're doing the right thing by using the things that you have over going and getting new. And in the junk journaling world, we're a wonderful community that like to swap and share. And so if you tap into that and start finding others on forums and things, you will be able to find someone that would be only too willing to swap their stash with you. And that might come in the form of some different napkins, vintage postcards or papers from the past, and you will be able to make up the most amazing treasured pages just from the things that you're sent. And it's so wonderful to receive as well, particularly when it's something really lovely and they've either made you something and they've also given you something that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to find yourself because it's a vintage find, it's something special. A little button card or a ticket from the past, and those wonderful things that only certain people understand. You know, there are lots of people that don't get it, and when you're talking about a junk journal, you're met with this sort of vague look like, okay, what are you talking about? And there are people that are going to get it. There are people that are not going to get it. But they are muggles, aren't they? And so if the muggles don't get it, that's fine. Leave them with their lovely, shiny homes and their decluttered lives and their drawers when they open them and everything folds out correctly and they know exactly where everything is with a sticky label on it. That's fine. That's them. Leave them to that. That's amazing. They're doing an awesome job of getting rid of the clutter that we are then able to have an abundant access to, which makes us very creative, which makes us have the wonderful ideas that inspire the people that want to declutter their lives, and then they want to have the beautiful frame that has been crafted out of the junk that they threw away. 'Tis the circle of life, and we're all part of that wonderful tapestry. And wherever you are on that hunter-gathering need to hoard and have the supplies around you to feel safe and secure in your home, it doesn't matter. It matters not one jot. You just need to do whatever you need to do to feel right for you. And what feels right for me is sat at my desk with the prospect of all the little things that I've now got in a neat enough arrangement, enough where I can see things. And glass cabinets are a really good idea. You think that they're not going to be because you don't want all the clutter on display and feel overwhelmed. But if it is put in an open basket, so you can still see the things. I've got some metal baskets which are open, I can see through them, and so I can see the fabrics, and my fabric in there in no particular folded up order. They're sort of folded up, but they're just tossed in. But I can see them through the glass cabinet, and that is really brilliant. So I put that up on my YouTube channel because it's a good share. So glass cabinets like that are a really good idea if you're a visual person, because I find that inspirational. I can look over through the little glass window of a display cabinet, an old vintage one, by the way, and I can see these baskets with my fabrics in them, and I have put them into a sort of a colour coordinated way to pretty things up a bit. But I have to say it is really inspirational just to glance over and see the things, but they be contained. So I want to see them, but I don't want to trip over them. That's the aim. So for a craft room, be able to see the things, but they're within a spot that is theirs. Okay, so they can be on a shelf, but maybe they're in a glass jar, so you can still see them, but they're contained. I think that's the key. That's certainly working for me at the moment. That makes me feel calm and centred, and I'm able to go about my day-to-day after all of that is done. So go and find that glue, go and find the paper, go and find the inspirational things, and see what's in that hidden drawer, and see what's lurking upstairs or downstairs or under the bed. And is it time to pull out that drawer, that little pack of paper, that envelope with the things stuck in it? You know, it's been there 20 years now, and what is it? And could you make use of it elsewhere? Just have a little look, see what you've got. Maybe go through a whole drawer. You don't have to be that tidy, organised person, but you could just pretend that you're hunting for something to craft with, and in doing so you might tidy up the drawer at the same time. That's how I approach housework. Okay guys, so I think I'm going to leave it there, and I'll leave you with those thoughts of what have you got that you could be using to prevent you from buying new. We don't need to buy new. We've got life abundant stuff, and if we haven't, then our friends and our families have. So start there, and then if you need to buy new, then do so to embellish what you've already got. Okay, thank you for listening, and above everything else, guys, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.